Cool.
Yeah, scratch that.
All right. Hey folks, welcome back to a Gambit update. We're gonna give you a quick update on the status of the team, the quarterfinals, slash individuals, all that kind of good stuff, competition update. And then we're gonna talk about Shoegasm-mageddon 2022. We're gonna talk about shoes. Wide array. So starting off first with those teams. And by the way, I'm Andrew and this is Shawn Crocker. Welcome back, Shawn.
Hey, pleasure to be here.
Kelly's been a couple times. We might have a little rotating cast of characters, but I think Shawn and I'll kind of be your primary anchors. But moving into the competition stuff. So we had, for those that don't fully understand, again, I like to give a little recap of kind of the structure of things. So we've got 3 segments in the quarterfinal leg of kind of online competition. We've got the individuals, which is typically what everybody thinks about when they think about the games. Your general
open
games
division,
athletes.
35 or under.
Known as the open division. Then we've got the teams, and then we move into age group qualifiers. Those are all spread out by 2 weeks. So we had our individual quarterfinals that we gave you guys an update on previously. We had a week off. Then this coming weekend we've got team quarterfinals.
Yeah.
Then we have a week off, and then we have age group quarterfinals. So kind of confusing, I realize, but what does that look like for us? We gave you guys the roster. I don't believe we had any individuals clear that. It was the top 120 in the country.
Yeah, I think 120 by region. I think Kelly was like 122.
Kelly was at 128, and then because people kind of drop out or withdraw from competition, she had moved up a few spots. And last time I checked, we were at 122, 121. As previously discussed, Kelly's probably not going to accept an individual invitation, but all of our kind of core group of athletes qualify for the team quarterfinals, which was, you know, how do they determine who qualifies for team quarterfinals?
And that one's still a little confusing to me. I believe they take like your congregate score of like your top 4 athletes that sign up for the Open. So for example, we had 30 or so people sign up for the Open within Gambit, and it takes the top 4 scores from the top 4 individuals, and it kind of pulls those together and then ranks your affiliate based off of that, congregate of scores.
And then they've got the top 120 or top 10% or whatever.
Yeah, top 10% of affiliates by region.
Yeah. Cool. So we are going to have a team completing the quarterfinals, and then from there they move on to the age group qualifiers, which is the teens. There's 2 teenage divisions.
Yeah, 14, 15, and then 16, 17.
Yep. And then there are the Masters, 35 to 39, which myself and Kelly would fall within, with a few others in the gym as well. And they structure that so that you can. So like Kelly's a great primary example where she may have qualified for the open individual category. She may want to go team, which is probably the most likely scenario for us.
Yeah.
And she may also give it a shot in the Masters qualifier, the age group qualifier. So she could go to the games again as a Masters athlete. And by spreading these all out, you kind of like get to pick and choose. So Kelly could theoretically qualify for all 3 of these things and then kind of decide which route she wants to go. But as far as Gambit is concerned, we're kind of putting our focus on the team right now. So our team roster, our official team roster, to give you guys the update, is Kelly Jackson, Joel Laney, Corey Clark and/or Anderson, and Clayton Adams. With our backup roster, we don't have to officially declare a backup roster at this time, or subs, but on kind of our short list is John Gramlich, Brian Sullivan, Alex Dunn, Maddie Seifert Dunn, and Christine Malabanan on the women's side there. So we'll declare 2 official substitutes. What's the word I'm missing there for subs?
Alternates?
Alternates, that's the word I'm looking for. We'll declare 1 male and 1 female official alternate heading into the actual semifinal portion of the competition. So just put that in perspective for everybody. Anything else you want to touch on the team stuff?
No, they released the floor plans. The workouts look interesting. I know Joel and Clayton did some synchro work yesterday, and that was fun and exciting to watch.
How do they look compared to the floor plans? How do they look different than the individual stuff?
Totally different.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not a GHD for one. So like there's one big piece of equipment that was featured in individuals that's not going to be featured in team. 2 of the workouts feature a pull-up bar, which we didn't see in individual quarterfinals. There's 1 floor plan that's literally just a 25-foot segment, no equipment listed, anything like that. So, you know, that could be so many different things.
I'm gonna guess handstand walks, which I don't love.
Or just AMRAP 20 of shuttle runs.
I feel like it's gonna be like 7 minutes of handstand walks or something.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah,
insane.
but yeah, so all the workouts
All right.
look totally different. It's good. It's a crapshoot. Who knows what they're gonna throw at us?
So yeah, we'll be shooting another update video when we get closer to that to kind of give you guys an update on what's going on with that and how we're feeling. Moving on from that, let's talk Shoemageddon 2022. For the purposes of this kind of review, as we were talking earlier, this is neither comprehensive nor
factual. There's gonna be a lot of opinion based.
just two guys who have some opinions about shoes. And as I was thinking, kind of going into this, I was shooting some footage that we'll kind of splice in as we talk about each shoe. This is kind of limited to, we're kind of excluding specifically running shoes because they're a whole different animal. Olympic lifting shoes weightlifting shoes kind of get lumped in with the CrossFit shoe because we do a lot of heavy weightlifting, and it kind of, I wouldn't say requires a specific shoe, but I would say you're probably, most folks are more likely as a dedicated CrossFitter to get into a weightlifting shoe than a dedicated running shoe.
For sure, I've seen so many more people buy a weightlifting shoe and just run in whatever.
Yeah, and we do have a couple of crossover shoes, which again we'll talk on. It's a little easier to have a hybrid CrossFit / running shoe than it is a weightlifting / running shoe. Yeah. But kicking right off, we'll start front and center with the Nano X or 10. This is kind of Reebok's core offering that they've been producing throughout the years, and the one thing I always say about Reebok is I love Reebok shoes. I don't love a lot of other stuff Reebok makes, and I say that Reebok was very good to Kelly for quite a few years, sponsored her, and gave both of us clothes and all that kind of good stuff. At this time, also as a side note, we are not sponsored by any of these people, and all of these shoes were paid for by us and our business, so our opinions are not unbiased, but unbiased by marketing.
Biased, not bought.
And the thing that Reebok, how many pairs of Nanos have you had?
At least 5.
So I think I've had every Nano, and the thing I always say about Reebok and the Nano specifically is it's like Reebok figures out they made a Nano and they were like, this is great, people like this. Let's throw the whole thing out and start over on the next one. So the Nano 2 comes out, it's like a totally different shoe. As evidenced by one of my favorite Nanos was the Nano 8 2 generations ago. Really liked the heel on it, and they kind of, there's some things carried over. For the most part, this Nano 10 is a totally different shoe.
Yeah, absolutely.
The 7 was hot garbage. I don't think anybody liked the 7. And the 10, the reason I love the Nano is, I've had really good luck with the wear on them. I feel like they've been super durable, and everybody's always going to complain about rope climbs tearing up their shoes. I mean, that's kind of impossible to make a totally rope climb proof shoe. Yeah. But I found the Nano to be very durable. They do have spots on the side specifically built for rope climbs, but and mine has not. There's a little bit of fraying here on the side. Haven't done a ton of rope climbs in these, but in general, these have held up extremely well. I love the toe box. They've got a wide toe box. I have a little bit of a wider foot. I suspect I have a little bit of a taller heel because I love that there's a little taller heel on the back of this. And you said you didn't like that.
Yeah, we were talking right before we started rolling the camera that I feel like these are almost like a high top for me. Is that a deal breaker? No. And we started off with these shoes because we both have the exact same pair. Yeah. And as far as like friction, wear and tear, like mine look pretty identical, and I'm not nice to my shoes at all.
As we can see here, this is one of Shawn's Metcons that's totally peeling apart on the side, and I'll try to splice in a clip, but I asked him, I said, how long have you had these shoes? Because these are absolutely annihilated. But just to illustrate, like this is the difference in heel height here. So again, I've had one pair of Metcons, and I'm not able to go back. They're too narrow for me. They cause my pinky toe to go numb, and I feel like I'm standing on them rather than in them. And they send you a pair of like heel lifts with them, which you like.
I don't love the ones they send, but
you like the other brands.
I use a different. It's very, very similar.
So to get, and they'll put that heel lift in there to get more of like an Olympic lifting type shoe, like a little bit of a little more drop that's kind of going to help your squat for the lay people watching. But to me, I put this shoe on and I'm like, you think I'm going to put a heel lift in that? You're out of your mind. I'm already on top of this thing. So I hated it, but I know people with a narrower foot that swear by the Metcon, and you're probably more of a Metcon person than a Nano person in general.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So tell us about the Metcon then.
Yeah, so the things I love about the Metcon is they are super stable. A lot of people will think they're very, very stiff and uncomfortable. I don't disagree with that. But again, I'm the exception. Like, I'll coach in these all day and wear them around all day, but I also have terrible ankles if you've ever heard me walk. I love the stability. I love the stiffness of them. Outside of like, there's some fraying and we can splice in clips. Like, that is just from hundreds and hundreds of rope climbs.
Yeah.
So just the way I come down a rope, you can smell the plastic melting.
And how old are these? How long are
these? I want to say these are probably 3 years old. I got them right as they dropped.
In CrossFit terms, that's a long time.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah.
I'm looking at a new pair of Nanos probably once a year, but I'm a little more shoe heavy than some people. But
yeah, and again, like these are, I want to say these are the Metcon 5s, and I have a pair of 6s here, and I think they're on the Metcon 7, which I haven't had the privilege of wearing yet. So I've had these. I basically got these right when they came out.
Well, the thing with Nike too, that I've only had one pair, but the thing, just kind of like owning one pair and looking at them from the outside, is the shoes all look really similar when they come out. Like the Metcon 4 looks a lot like the Metcon 5, looks a lot like the Metcon 6.
For sure.
The Nanos have been, I don't think we have another pair of Nanos out here, but the Nanos, like I said, they pretty much like wipe the slate every time. And it's like one shoe looks radically different to the next. And I've liked all of them in certain ways, but it's like, to me, this is kind of the greatest hits Nano up to now. For me, aside from, I'd honestly trade this heel for the Nano 8's heel. I preferred that, even though I don't hate this one. I thought I was going to hate it. I don't hate it, but the thing about Nike is, and we'll talk about when we get to NOBULL as well, is they kind of like figured out a thing that worked and they just kept tweaking it a little bit and keep making it so people that like Metcons can continue to love Metcons. So
yeah, and like they will update things. Like, this is not the newest, but the last generation, and like they updated their upper to be more breathable.
Is that the Flyknit upper, or is that the standard upper?
That's just standard shoe.
Because they do like a Flyknit version as well.
Right. So like this Metcon has got like a mesh upper on it. Everything else is pretty similar. Like, you can see even like the soles are very, very similar. They still have the same plastic heel clip on the back end.
That's what I was going to say about mine was I did like there's a little plastic tab on the back, so your handstand push-ups, it slides up and down the wall really nicely, which Reebok does as well. Just probably, I would argue maybe not as well. Doesn't execute quite as well, but I would say that when I walked around in my Metcons, it sounded like I was wearing dress shoes. They actually clicked in the heel. So anyway, moving on from there, I think we'll move into a little bit of a hybrid shoe. This is the Nano X1. It is a Nano, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it's called a Nano X1, which really isn't a Nano at all by these standards, but it's a good like all-around multi-purpose shoe. I have noticed in videos, Rich Froning doesn't tend to tie his shoes a lot, which I also do not tie my shoes a lot when I'm just kind of hanging out or doing like light warm-up work and stuff. And I think that's reflected in this shoe. We've got this elastic kind of bungee tie system here, so you're never going to cinch these down super tight, but that's kind of what I love about this shoe. This is, you can see these are just dirty as hell because I wear them all the time. Like they're my most comfortable shoe. They just feel like a slipper. You just kind of slide right into them. Like I said, you can cinch them down a little bit. Definitely not going to be the most durable shoe, but talk about a crossover shoe, you can definitely go in moderate. You could go for a moderate run in these. These are going to work great for any CrossFit workout, jumping rope, jumping on boxes, all that kind of stuff. Super lightweight. You can tell they don't click like a
like the hammer of a Metcon.
Yeah, they don't have quite the same clunk, or they're not as hard as a Metcon. So, but I think that again, really wide toe box, and I think a lot of people would find that to be a little discouraging. Like, they're going to have a little more movement. There's not a lot of side-to-side stability. So where I find a lot of comfort in that, and I will say, if getting into like heavy weightlifting sessions and stuff, I'm not quite as comfortable in these. But man, you can tell the difference in just the weight of the shoe, just even going from the regular Nano to that. This is just a much lighter.
Yeah, and I think that also speaks as to like why you would want multiple different pairs of shoes if you're wanting to make that investment. Because like, I'll be honest, I wouldn't suggest running anything more than a 200 meter in a Metcon unless you want shin splints, right? It's just not going to be great because there's no flexibility. Like Andrew said, it's like you're like a
and the
Clydesdale.
Nano, I've definitely gone out and done like 800 meter run workouts, and I've heard people come back and say, "Oh, you can't run at all in that." That's a little excessive, but like they aren't great for. I would say, even if I'm doing a workout that has multiple 400s or an 800, I'm definitely not going for the Nano. But if it's a kind of like a 400-meter run workout, you're looking at 3 or 4 rounds, I would potentially wear the Nano. It's not going to cause problems.
Absolutely. And then when we have a running workout, this is usually the shoe I'm going to put on.
I got a shot of this actually, but I didn't bring it up here to the table. I do have another version of the X1, which is just the standard X1, not the Froning edition, which is kind of, I guess, is where you're going to get a similar kind of base off of it with a different upper. Has actual laces, and that is interesting because, again, they call it an X1, but I feel like it has a narrower toe box and it has a lot more support, and that is one of my main go-to like running workout shoes. So if it's like a workout like Nancy, I think, overhead squats and running, that's probably going to be an X1 workout for me, potentially the Fronings or the other ones, but I think those are a great crossover shoe. Not great for like dedicated weightlifting, but man, you can do almost everything you need to do in an X1. And I know, again, we don't have one, but I know Nike makes kind of a crossover shoe called the Metcon Free
Turbo
or something.
Free or Turbo, whatever it is.
Something like that. So broad strokes here, I would say generally speaking, if you're a little narrower foot, you like a more low ride shoe, you're probably more of a Nike person. If you like a wider toe box and maybe a little more looser fitting shoe, you might prefer a Reebok. Now, NOBULLs, which I've just taken off my foot. I've got 2 pairs of NOBULLs. Like the high tops, forget about them. I'm not into those. I love the way they look. For me, I got to unlace almost the entire shoe. Again, I think that might have something to do with my tall heel. But I don't find these to be, I love the look of these things, and I'll tell you, NOBULL, obviously, I'm into purple, but NOBULL is one of the only companies out there making a purple shoe. I'm gonna throw them a few bucks here and there just for the color. But these are like, I don't know, and we were talking earlier, they've got a Trainer Plus. This is the canvas version. They've got a Trainer Plus, and I don't know if this is the Plus sole or the updated sole, so I apologize for that, but I also have an earlier pair of NOBULLs, the canvas trainers, and I love them. They're super comfortable. I like driving in them. I've noticed like driving in these, I don't get as good of a pedal feel, which tells me there's a much thicker, heavier sole on them. I don't train in these, I just wear them around, I coach in them. I do really like these. They aren't the most comfortable shoe, like again, putting this thing on, just like an absolute slipper, like a house shoe. It's crazy how comfortable it is. But this isn't to say this is uncomfortable. I do like this shoe, and again, it's a little bit of personal preference. I don't think, do you train in your NOBULLs?
Very rarely.
Yeah, and I don't train in mine, but it's like, hey, if you like them, you know, more power to you, go for it. I wouldn't probably recommend the high top for anybody training wise, but I know a couple guys that wear like the leather high tops, really like them as a casual shoe. So by all means.
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting thing with NOBULLs. To me, it's more of like a fashion shoe. Like again, like I'm gonna coach in them. The designs look amazing. Like I've got on my feet now, I have a pair, and they just look good. Now, are they bad at anything? Not really, but they're not the best at anything either, in my opinion.
No, but I also think like as a company, you know, NOBULL's pretty heavily tied in with CrossFit now, and again, they've got that formula of like we made a shoe, people seem to like it, we're gonna keep tweaking it, making small differences. So I would expect that's gonna continue to get better. So there's no reason to not kind of invest in that.
Right.
Okay. One last aside, because I've seen a few people working out in similar shoes, the kind of minimalist barefoot shoe, very thin. I've got a few pairs of these. I've seen people working out in them. I like, man, for going out on pavement, it's tough to like run out of the gym in a pair of barefoot shoes. Again, I'm wearing these mostly casually. You got to have great ankle flexion and mobility to get into like a really strong squat. It's like, man, if you can actually squat well barefoot, then sure, you can go for this. But even like Olympic weightlifting, no, you try to like jam your heel into the ground on a heavy squat clean or something, real uncomfortable in this guy.
Sure.
So my personal opinion, I would keep these to like streetwear and like coaching. I don't really, or accessory work. And
I love, like I started CrossFit wearing the Vibram 5-finger like glove shoes, and I wore those probably the first 2 years I CrossFitted.
Yeah.
It definitely didn't make anything easier.
No. I think they're great for your feet.
Yeah.
That's kind of the thing. Like really good for your feet. I recommend like if you're a shoe guy like me, definitely have a pair or two of those in your arsenal. I've got another pair that's like white with kind of a gum sole. It's like my going out shoe. I throw a pair of jeans on, and I like try to spend as much time without arch support as possible.
Sure.
I do think it's good for your feet. But it's tough for me to execute too many workouts in something like that. And more often than not, when I see members wearing that stuff, they're really struggling with their squat or whatever kind of because of that shoe. So I wouldn't discourage anyone from getting into those, but probably not the best all-around shoe.
It's definitely not going to make CrossFit any easier.
And probably, And probably more than anything we have on the table, we've got lifting shoes. four pairs of lifting shoes. We're into weightlifting, I guess. Big thing I want to touch on is I've got the Reeboks. Contrary to all of their other shoes, this kind of like dedicated weightlifter, I forget what they actually call it, but
Legacy?
this is their full-on, legacy lifter. It's like a $185 shoe or something. Super narrow toe box.
Yeah,
Like just
100%.
gonna crank your foot down. And that's what a lot of weightlifters want. They want your foot to be really secure in there, which is fine. I find the more comfortable I get with a wider toe box, the more I like a wide toe box, and I bought their kind of like hybrid lifter to that end. A little softer in the forefoot, so you can theoretically do more workouts. Wouldn't think about running in it, but it's a little bit lower in the heel, so a little bit less rise there. Just a lighter weight shoe compared to the hard like plastic heel here, so this is just kind of more of a rubber heel. But it does have way more comfort in the front of it. Wider toe box, just a much more comfortable shoe, but you're just not getting as much lift out of it. So this is a great option for a lot of people that are kind of like in between. This is going to be cheaper than this. I think these were closer to $100 or less. I might have gotten these on sale for like $50.
Yeah, I know Nike
are
makes
like
a pair called the
185.
Savaleo too. That again, cheaper price point, lower heel, more flexibility, ability to be worn in more workouts.
Absolutely. And then you've got a couple of dedicated. We shouldn't pick up too much of it on the mics. You've got a couple more dedicated weightlifting shoes.
So these are from two smaller companies. We've got a company called Position and a company called Velasa. Position basically just makes these, right? So they're blue suede, they're a little fancy, a little extra. Velasa comes from a track and field background, so they make like throwing shoes. They got into weightlifting a couple of years ago. And yeah, both of them have a wood heel. That's always been my preference. Super heavy. Very, very stiff and secure though. Like you're never gonna have to worry about like plastic failing or bending or flexing because again, it is wood. And that's always kind of been my bias. If I'm gonna go through the effort of putting a weightlifting shoe on, if I'm just doing a heavy clean jerk or a heavy snatch, these are probably gonna be the shoes I have.
What kind of expenditure do you think you're looking at for those?
I think these are around $215, and these are very, very similar, maybe up to like the $230 to $250. A little bit more of a boutique.
And how's the toe box on those?
Super narrow. This one's the position's a little wider, and we can even see that just kind of in the side by side. And I think like the Reebok and the Positions are very, very similar. It just narrows it out. It squeezes your feet together. These Positions are kind of mirrored after like more old school kind of like Russian weightlifting shoes, where there is a little bit more room for toe splay, and I like that about these. They're both great shoes. I would say these have held up far longer than the Positions have.
Yeah, those look great.
And again,
not
about
as good
the
as
same.
these, it needs to be said. These are also custom painted, so we're a little different scenario. And these look like, it also needs to be said, Reebok's really good at making like a dad shoe, and these are like full on
dad shoe
vibe. And the Nano is a little bit too. So I gotta say that as much as I love Reeboks, I'm like, guys, I mean, I'm looking at this thing and then I'm looking at this thing, like which one looks like they'd be barbecuing out with
which one has grass stains that would look better on?
Yeah, with white crew socks and jean shorts. which one of these looks better with jean shorts? So anyway, that's our kind of non-comprehensive, non-biased, or totally biased rather, shoe review. Anything else you want to add to that?
No, I think we have a lot of great options here. I think just to kind of bring back our initial point is if you're not wearing a CrossFit shoe now, a lot of these you can find on sale. I know Reeboks go on sale all the time. It's not uncommon to find it's not uncommon to find like a 40 to 60% off on those. There's a Nike and Reebok outlet.
And I would say, in summary, if you're just kind of dipping your toe into CrossFit, you're just getting into it, and you need one pair of shoes, I personally would highly recommend one of these like hybrid shoes that is kind of a Nano-based shoe. It's going to be able to run that 400, 800 meters pretty easily, but it's also going to be relatively stable. Like I said, if you want, and I've got footage I'll splice in of my other X1s that lace up, and they're going to be much more probably versatile there. If you want a little more, you're not a runner. It's kind of the big question that divides people. If you're not much of a runner, I say go with a Nano or a Metcon, just because they're, if you're on a running shoe, really squishy heel, and you're in here trying to lift weights, back squat stuff, like you're going to see a huge benefit switching to more stable, more firm shoe. Then when you're ready to drop 200 bones on a pair of dedicated weightlifters, you can start to split hairs on all that stuff. But not necessary for most people.
No.
And again, this is a great entry point to the dedicated weightlifting
Yeah,
shoe at
100%.
probably $100
Yeah.
in that range. So I hope that was helpful. We'll have another Gambit update video coming out to you soon. And thanks for watching. See you next time.
Yeah, see you guys.